Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fun List Friday right here on the Eat, Sleep, List YouTube channel. My name is Matt Johnson, your forever gracious host. Thank you so much for being with me here today. Thinking cartoons. All right, I'm feeling cartoons. I've been watching a lot of cartoons in recent weeks, and that is the theme for today's list. I actually cannot believe that I have not done a cartoon list before. But now's a good time as ever to do so. Cartoons are great. They're timeless. They've always been around, always will be around. And I really, really do enjoy the art that goes into creating a cartoon. And I think everybody does, right? I think everybody does. Even if you are a adult who rejects everything that you once enjoyed as a child, cartoons were important to you at one point in your life. I really do love cartoons because of the creative freedom that it gives. The people who create it, the people who illustrate it, the people who write it, everybody that has a hand in it has so much creative freedom. And it's really cool, and especially growing up in the 90s where, CGI and special effects and all this stuff was not all that great. You flip on a cartoon, you can get just about anything you want. All right? Thinking back to the 90s about the superhero cartoon boom that happened at that point in time, there was a lot you can do. All right, instead of getting a movie once every couple of years, and back in the 90s it was really just Batman. You got a Blade film, you got a B movie Fantastic Four that never really saw a theatrical release. It's limited and it stinks, and it if you're a fan of that stuff and don't have a lot of access to it like we do now, then it's tough, it's tricky, and it's kind of depressing. But man, if you got cartoons on, you can go check it out. There's a lot to be enjoyed, a lot of good stuff. And I grew up in a really great era of cartoons. I did. I mean, I missed out on the 80s, which is pretty it's pretty premier, it's pretty legit. It was another great era for cartoons, but I'm proud of what I've been able to experience over the years. And we're going to just make a quick, easy, nice, fun cartoon list today. That is the plan. Keep it simple, and let's get to it. All right, everybody, it is time for my favorite part of every single video that we do. It is time to make the list. As I always encourage, please feel free to comment your list below in the comment section, or feel free to send me an email at eatsleeplistpod@gmail.com. That email address is in every single video description that we post. These are my favorites. All right, there's no right or wrong with this. There's thousands upon thousands of legendary, great cartoons. What works for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. So be it. As the fun in list making, it does not matter as long as it means something to each of us, respectively. And these are some of the greatest cartoons that I've ever watched over the course of my 34 years here on this earth. The ones that I go back to frequently, I yearn for quite often, and it's cool because there's stuff for like different ages, right? Different points of my life. I got a couple adult-themed ones, all right, a little bit older viewer, and then I got a couple ones from like my teenage years, stuff that I actually recently discovered, and a lot of stuff from my childhood years. So there's a good variety here, a good mix. And I'm excited to share my top 10 cartoons list with you. Let's get to it. Start off with my number 10. This one is it's one that I've come to appreciate very recently. It's not something that I ever had interest in watching when it was the original run, but they just released a season, a newer season. I forget which the season, was it 14 or 15? But they released it on Disney Plus. I gave it a shot. I was hooked. I powered through it. But King of the Hill is one that I have learned to appreciate. Actually, after completing the new season, which again I never really watched it when when it was out in its original run, I went back and marathon through everything. And there's just something so comforting about that show. I don't know what it is. The art style is definitely like I kind of low key love. It's not like perfect by any means, but there's something about the King of the Hill art style that I just appreciate, especially the early years. There were times when I did watch it though, but I was never seriously into it. Like if I went away for that for one of my previous jobs, we'd stay in a hotel and we just put on King of the Hill and let it just marathon. And again, it took me a long time to really appreciate it. I think it's really fun. I think it's a funny show, and there's a lot of heart to it. I really enjoyed going back and watching everything for the first time again. And for that reason, for the comforting reason that it gives, the cool art style and the just the humor that goes along with it, it is my number 10 favorite cartoon of all time. My number 9. This is another one that I didn't really give a chance. Not so much because not like King of the Hill where just maybe it was a little bit too adult for me when it was in its prime, but for this one, I didn't like the art style coming up. But I'm putting Star Wars Rebels on my list here as my number 9. I legitimately hated the art style of all these Star Wars cartoons. Clone Wars, Rebels. I did say, screw it. I'm just going to go into it and enjoy it for what it is. And I have. I love that I have access to either show and all of their seasons and so many cool characters and stuff. I only started watching Rebels 2023. Me and my family went to Tennessee, and I had a long drive. It was a long drive. I wasn't driving, but I was sitting in the passenger seat. So I decided, I'm like, hey, I'm going to watch Star Wars Rebels, marathon this as we're going down to Tennessee. And I did. I got through almost all this, everything. I actually just finished it pretty recently, but I'm rewatching stuff. I think it's really cool, the amount of characters in this time frame in the Star Wars lore. I've learned to fall in love with the new characters like Ezra and Hera and everybody else, Sabine and like Chopper is like my favorite droid now of all time. I think he's hilarious. But Star Wars Rebels is really good, and I'm mad at myself for not watching it sooner. It's a good lesson in not letting the art style, dictate whether you give it a shot. Just give it a shot, and you'll learn to love it. And I do enjoy both of them, but I think Rebels is really like it is a good mix of everything. In that, a little bit of everything. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. So, Rebels is my number 9. Number 8, Digimon. Digimon, digital monsters. The antithesis of Pokemon, right? This was supposed to be everything that Pokemon wasn't. They're, Pokemon's over here, Digimon's over here. They're both in their own lane. I really, really enjoyed Digimon for what it was. I loved that there was a character named Matt in the show. I love the different creatures, even though all their names ended in Mon. I had some of the video games. I had some of the toys. I had a Digivice, the season 2 or not season 2, but the second group Digivice that was kind of shaped like a, I don't know, like an egg almost, like a crooked egg. I loved it. Digimon was a lot of fun, and I get hyped up still. That theme song was awesome. The Digivolutions were really, really cool. Man, it was neat, and I lost touch with it after that second group. After was it Sora, Kari, TK, and some of the other new characters came about. That seems to happen quite often. But I remember going to see the Digimon movie, and yeah, it was a phenomenon. It was fun while it lasted. I know there's still stuff that goes on now, but but what I did know, back then, early 2000s, that was tremendous stuff. So Digimon is my number 8. Number 7, this cartoon is so timeless. And honestly, if I'm talking the goats of cartoons, I think this one belongs on there. But it's SpongeBob SquarePants. This show has so many seasons. All right. What an evolution of this show. Hilarious. I mean, iconic, legitimately one of the most iconic cartoons of all time. It even like the NFL, like they've been doing the Nickelodeon stuff lately, where they have some of the characters like commentate. And my favorite memory of all time was like it was Russell Wilson on the Broncos, and he threw an interception against, I think it was the Rams, and the guy who voiced Patrick Star was doing it. They were doing it in the. They were just showing the animation of Patrick commentating, and he said, "Oh, that's not what he wanted to cook," or something like that. It was the funniest thing ever that Russell Wilson got legit roasted by Patrick Star. But that's how big that SpongeBob is. I mean, the art style is just, beautiful, and some of the humor is just so funny. It really is. There's a character that everybody can relate to on that show. Me and my kid watch compilation videos of it all the time. SpongeBob is really, really well written, really well done. And I'm glad that it still survives into the mainstream today, 24, 5, 6 years later after its debut. I mean, that is staying power if I've ever seen it. So SpongeBob, number 7. Number 6, this is one of my favorite ones on Cartoon Network as a kid. I loved the atmosphere of this show. Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Ed, Ed, and Eddie. That was, it was among so many greats, too. Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Courage the Cowardly Dog. So many, but Ed, Ed, and Eddie stood out for me because I was never really the most popular kid. I never was. Everybody has like their groups, and here's all the cool kids over here, and here's me doing what I do with my friends, whoever I affiliate with at the time. That's the way I perceived it. And I love just this cul-de-sac kind of feel to the show, and they're always going on some kind of wild adventures, and the Jawbreakers, and just everything that went hand in hand with it. It was a really funny and well done show. Ed was just hilarious, and some of the things that would come out of his mouth. You got the sisters that were always harassing them, and there was a lot of good ones. I love the I think it was like a river raft episode where they found like an old tire or something, and they were doing rides on a creek, but it's just some very, very well done humor in that show, and I do miss it. I gotta find some reruns. Maybe YouTube has some, but yeah, Ed, Ed, and Eddie is my number 6. Number 5. We got a nice little stretch of great shows here. I'm gonna go Spider-Man the animated series for this one. The foundation of my love and appreciation for Spider-Man stems 100% from this show. And, the way that they brought the Spider-Man character to seemingly life, getting to see him face off against all of his iconic villains, some more interesting than others. There was Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Venom and Carnage, and for every one of those there was the Spot or somebody else, but it did a really good job of bringing some of the stuff to life. Had 4 or 5 maybe good seasons. The intro was awesome. Just really good fleshed out characters, some really cool crossover episodes which I really enjoyed. I did love the Secret Wars episodes where you bring in the Fantastic Four and Captain America and some of the X-Men. Like, I always thought they did a really good job of that. Somebody actually pointed this out probably 10 years ago that was the original like Marvel Cinematic Universe, is that all the cartoons that they had at that time. One more, which we're going to talk about, but you had Iron Man, Hulk, Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer. I think they had an Avengers one at one point, but there was so much exciting Marvel content in the 90s. It literally fueled their toy business, Toy Biz, who was making the toys at that time. But Spider-Man was really, really good. And, very much appreciate that show for what it did. Number four, I'm going to go with South Park here. This is my last like adult-oriented show. It took me a while to be allowed to watch South Park, but the irony from my embarrassment list was that I bought the shirt and knew nothing about the characters. So when I had access to, when I was a little bit older and could watch it on demand, I would watch South Park episodes, reruns all the time, and man, the humor is so good. And I like the fact that nobody is safe when it comes to South Park's humor. You may think that South Park is agreeing with whatever ideology or thought process that you have, but then it will make fun of you either in that episode or within the next episode. But their format is really, really good in the way that they take real cultural, societal thoughts and events and just destroy them. I mean, there's been so many over the years. I could go on forever, but about the list of things that they've touched on, made fun of, and so much more. But South Park is really well thought of, really thoroughly thought in the creative process, and it has earned its legendary status for that. Always want more. You always want more, but I wish. I don't know if they're doing seasons. Are they just doing? It's been a little while since I've watched one, but are they just doing the? I think they're just doing like the one-off like specials. I don't know if there's been a season in a little while. That's on me for not knowing any better. But South Park is my number 4. Number 3, Batman the Animated Series. This is good stuff. It's still intense and really good watching it now. I watch it on HBO Max from time to time. And Batman in the 90s was peak. I mean, that was the face of DC at that point. I know Superman was there. There was a Superman Adventures cartoon, but Batman was the be-all, end-all. And it's really cool. You know, you think back to the Tim Burton Batman movies and how that added this dark layer to Batman. The influence that it had on that cartoon. Seeing all these just villains come to life, and there was some heavy stuff in that show too. There was some real heavy stuff in the Batman animated series that they dealt with, and it took me to grow up and be an adult to really acknowledge it. But it's dark. It is dark, but really, really good. And Kevin Conroy, I believe, is the voice. Forgive me if I mess that up, but he's a legend in his own right for being that voice. And Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker being the voice of Joker. I think this was their debut with those respective characters, period. But yeah, that show's iconic. One of the best of all time, and the influence it's had going forward on the rest of Batman's lore is legendary. So that's my number 3. Number 2 is X-Men, the animated series. This is my favorite out of the Marvel stuff because the amount of characters that were featured in it, the storylines that were dealt, the personality. I mean, I literally love and worship every single character of that X-Men run. Like Cyclops, my favorite. Wolverine. That's when I liked him, and I didn't feel like he was being shoved down my throat in every single film that he's appeared in. Jean Grey, Gambit, Rogue is iconic. Beast is beloved from that show. Even Jubilee, who just shoots fireworks out of her hands. Unforgettable. And you get the villain, some of the best villain portrayals in that show. And every now and then they bring in somebody like Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Havoc, Iceman. So many different characters. I thought they did a really good job of bringing those stories to life as well. The Phoenix Saga and all these other things. I'm glad that they took the Jim Lee style, which was uber popular at that time. A couple years after the Reload, the X-Men Blue and Gold teams and all that stuff, and just went all in. Just went all in on it. It is great. That was one of the best cartoon intros of all time. I can listen to that on replay over and over again. And I gotta say, I really liked X-Men '97. I know that was kind of their follow-up to it, to try and add something to that legacy. And that show was, I thought, really well done too. I'm excited to see where it goes if they do decide to continue doing it. But it was really neat to have those characters again. So good, so good. That's my number 2. My number 1 is it's Pokemon. It is Pokemon. I've listed 9 other great shows on this, but nothing took the world by storm quite like the Pokemon anime/cartoon. I know some people are sticklers about it being called a cartoon. In my point of view, it is a cartoon. But yeah, I mean, that hooked everybody in. Sure, the games were great, but when you could make a cartoon that pulls in the kind of numbers that it did, you're just printing money at that point. All of a sudden, the cards become easier to sell. The toys become easier to sell. All the merchandise becomes so much easier to sell when you get the cartoon. And I pushed back for a long time because I'm not typically somebody who likes to just like everything because everybody else likes it. That's never been my style. But it eventually got to me, and I couldn't resist anymore. And Pokemon was it was the best. We'd get home from school and hurry up and watch and catch a new episode, and even just the art style was really, really cool back then. And there's so much now. There's so many different seasons of Pokemon over the years, and then I've kind of lost touch with it. After the Johto League, it was getting to be a bit too much for me. But what is always going to be the greatness for me. That first gen was the best. I will rewatch those shows all the time. Just following that adventure, the whole concept is great, and yeah, the way it brought people together, and it still brings people together to this day. People still, think back about Pokemon Go 10 years ago and how, even me, I had really lost touch on Pokemon. Then I hear this concept where I can go walk around and catch Pokemon wherever. And you there's an encouragement to go to these more unique areas and catch, different types. So cool. So cool. It brought so many people together, brought me to get together with a lot of good friends, good people, and it continues to do so over the years. So there it is, everybody. That is the cartoons list. Again, please share yours. I would love to hear what was important to you, what was special to you, and what is special to you over your entire lifetime. What cartoons still tickle your fancy, so to speak. That is a wrap on this one. I thank you so much for your viewership, your support. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. We'll see you on Monday. Till next time, do you even list?